Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton becomes the first woman official nominee for the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. We are talking whether or not Russia is behind all the DNC leaks. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some voter ID laws. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, political culture.
Hey guys, it is Drexel here with Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. We are kicking off the show with a little Simon and Garfunkel because that bridge, it was that intro was troubled water right there. Like I just could not figure out what I was saying because I was so excited.
You were so excited
about
for your
the
girl.
stuff that happened today. Welcome to the show. Sorry I could not get that out. I don't know what happened. They're probably sitting over there like, what the hell is happening? Coming out of his mouth right now. Welcome to the show, guys. You can follow me at Drexel Heard on Twitter.
Hey guys, you can follow me on Twitter and IG at Hey It's Lay.
What's going on, guys? You can follow me everywhere at Sorrells.
And if you're following us on Twitter, you can follow the show at BHL Polyculture.
Come on, Ulysses.
Okay, I didn't even plan that. We didn't even plan that.
Use the hashtag
BHLPC.
if you want to join that conversation, or if you're in the chat room, hello. Welcome to the show, guys. It has been I feel like it's been another long week.
Honestly,
really has.
I haven't seen you guys in
I know, it feels like I haven't seen you. I was
time.
literally thinking that. I'm like, Drexel, where you been? Everyone's like, we hiding.
You know,
It's been a while.
We had to go through like a whole separate convention last week.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go through a Friday VP announcement.
Right.
We had to go through some DNC leaks this weekend, and we're already on day 2 of the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah.
This is like the longest week in political history.
It really is.
Like debates aside, general election aside, this is like the 2 weeks where everything happens, and then next week, of course, the Olympics start. So lots happening. So, like I said, we started at the top of the show with Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water because the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, kicked off its convention this week. So I'm just going to back up real quick because, like I said, last week our show started in the middle of the Republican National Convention. Did you guys get a chance to see Donald Trump speak last week?
I've seen some of the video footage of it. Look at Elayna's face.
I watched him. I'm good. I'm not making no faces anymore, you know. Put some respect on that man's name. He is going to be on the ballot. Okay?
He is going to be on the ballot. That is true. Republicans
I can't
officially
even take myself serious. He's going to be on the ballot, please.
officially nominating Donald Trump during his roll call last Tuesday. Him and Mike Pence will be on the ballot in all 50 states for president and vice president Republican nomination.
Nice.
So I thought, the Republicans had, like I said last week, a doom and gloom convention.
Yeah.
They just wanted everybody to be pretty fearful last week. And we'll talk about it in a little bit, just stark contrast to what the Democrats have been providing just in these past 2 days. Friday night, Hillary Clinton's campaign sent out a text message to all her supporters, and the AP jumped in, and then all the news cycle, they were waiting. It was like everybody was waiting for it to happen. Hillary Clinton named Virginia Senator Tim Kaine as her running mate. Did you guys know a little about Tim Kaine?
I knew he was from, what was it, Indiana?
He's from Virginia.
Virginia, I thought it was Indiana. You know what? I was actually surprised because I thought it was she was gonna pick the other gentleman who I really, really love. I can't think of his name right now.
Cory Booker?
Yes, I loved him, and everybody was out. They thought she was going to lean towards him, and so when they came with him, everybody was kind of like, "Hey!" And I remember everybody was like Googling, like, "Who is
Tim
he?
Kaine?
Where did he come from? What did he accomplish?" And so I know I was one of them trying to get a full history resume. Like, okay, what else did he do now? So,
Yeah. What about
Thankfully, I knew a little bit about him because I was reading comparisons maybe 2 weeks ago between the potential VP picks. So it was Elizabeth Warren, Cory Brooks. It was him on there as well. I didn't know who he was, but because of what I read, I was a little prepared.
Yep.
Congratulations to him.
Tim Kaine,
Yeah.
former congressman. Actually, he's former mayor, congressman. Governor, and now senator of Virginia. That's a lot of experience there. And then a lot of the not controversy, but a lot of the obviously a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters disappointed that Hillary Clinton didn't pick a progressive on the ballot. Yeah. Did you guys share that sentiment about that? Was it, hey, I really want a progressive? Like what made you? What kind of vice presidential pick did you think Hillary Clinton should have?
It wasn't necessarily that I really want you to have a progressive VP pick. It wasn't that. It would have been nice. It would have been great. But I understand her picking Tim. I understand her picking Tim Kaine because we have a lot of people who, as far as the Democratic Party, we have a lot of people who aren't yet on board, who aren't satisfied with just Hillary alone.
Exactly.
And I know that a lot of people are saying, okay, well, I don't want to vote for Hillary just because I'm anti-Trump. But I think that they fail to realize if you don't vote at all, it becomes a bigger problem. It becomes a vote for Trump in a sense. So she needed to pick Tim Kaine, and she needed to almost, you know, we can't get everything we want. Yeah, we can't, and that's just what it comes down to. Like, it would have been great for her to be on the ticket with Elizabeth Warren.
I was just about to say, I know that was that would have
been great, or even Cory Brooks. Oh my God, I'm happy.
Right.
Yeah, he was.
But it makes sense for the party as a whole because she's not only trying to appeal to people like me or people like, you know, my friends. She's trying to appeal to the whole party, right? And we are all different, you know, different backgrounds and etc. So I thought it was a great. What do you call it when you're thinking straight?
Looking at the straight and narrow. She did. Tim Kaine was a decisive pick. Yeah, he was a decisive pick. You know, here's the thing about Tim Kaine. He, you know, everybody sees Hillary Clinton as a centrist, and she is. And we've talked about this a lot, where Barack Obama kind of floats on the political ideology spectrum. Right. And he was an excellent pick for a governing partner. You know, he brings to the table, you know, decades of experience. Obviously, we just rattled off the 4 or 5 different, or the 4 different positions he's held just in Virginia alone. Yeah. And the other part of that is, and I say this a lot to people, especially in our party, is that, you know, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama talks about it all the time, and we talk about it where Barack Obama is not the president of Black America. He's the president of the United States, and Hillary Clinton's not running to be the president of the left wing of the United States. Right. She's not running to become president of the Democratic Party of the United States. She's running to become president of the United States. So Tim Kaine brings that kind of, you know, he's Catholic.
Completion,
he's
almost. Like a balance, basically.
He's personally pro-life, but he governs pro-choice. Yeah. And so he's one of those juxtaposition candidates who can say, I can govern without bringing all of my personal beliefs into that. That is not how you run the nation. And of course you want somebody who can do the job. And I think Tim Kaine brings that. On the other side of that, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, there are problems, not with them, but with the pulling them from the Senate. Massachusetts has a Republican governor. New Jersey has a Republican governor. Those would have been filled by Republican. Yeah, those were by Republicans. And in the first 100 days, first year of Hillary Clinton's presidency, I just don't think that's something that she really needed. Was not having the numbers in the Senate. So I think that when people look at Tim Kaine as a whole, Tim Kaine was a very smart pick when it comes to how best to govern the nation from the center out. And you know, people might disagree with me on that. I always say you don't govern from the left or the right. You govern from the center and make people come to you and then push it back out. And, you know, and then, you got your special interests and you're going to do that. So very excited to see Tim Kaine and Hillary Clinton kind of hit the campaign trail, you know, after the convention this week. Also, so the next day was Saturday, and then the DNC kind of had a big leak of emails. And how did you guys read any? There was 20,000 emails that came out last week. I was so many emails. I mean, I didn't read all of them. I probably read maybe 5.
I was gonna say I probably read maybe 2 or 3 just because it was so many to try to cover and scroll through that got leaked.
Right. Did you guys take a look at them? What did you guys think about? What did you guys think about the leak itself, and then the emails that you may or may not, that you read, or the commentary that you read about it?
It was hard for me not to think that the leak wasn't a setup. It was hard for me. It was hard. I mean,
trust no one.
Right. So I didn't go through them. I didn't go through them at first, but then it became the big talk, and I'm like, well, what's in these emails exactly? So I scrolled through a few of them, but I didn't focus on them as much because I was just like, the convention's starting on Monday. Attention needs to be taken away. We need more reasons not to trust Hillary. And let me tell you why this affected me, because I'm one of the voters who still needs convincing. I am not like, oh my gosh, I'm with her. That's not me. I'm still trying to build my trust into Hillary. So when these came out, I'm like, come on, y'all playing with me, because like I'm getting there, and I'm getting to a place where I will feel comfortable. Hopefully by November, I'm sure I will. But I want to make sure that I'm doing what's right for me. So I was very upset. I'm just like, we don't really need this, because I know that there are other people who aren't me who may be battling too. And they're going to allow the criticism that come out, the theories that come out, to completely shift how they feel about her.
But the question that I always had, and I had a lot of conversation about this over the weekend, is what did it have to do with Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton's been out there campaigning the whole time. The DNC is technically supposed to be an organization, obviously, that supports Democratic candidates. So Clinton campaign aside, what did that have to do? And I know how I feel about it, but what did that have to do from a personal level to do with Hillary Clinton?
It's affiliation. It's not necessarily.
So does that mean that Barack Obama is corrupted somehow because of this? That any Democrat that's associated with he is the de facto party leader of the Democratic Party. Yeah. Does that mean that Barack? Like, I think this is the problem that I always have with people, is that, and not necessarily that I have with people, is that people forget that the White House was untouched during every Hillary Clinton moment of the past 2 or 3 years, and to the point where I'm like, we know that the president knew that Hillary Clinton was emailing from an email account that was not a government email account, and somehow the White House was untouched during this. Now, I have no problem with that, unless somebody got questioned later and they were like, oh, forget it, the White House really only knew so much about it. But at the same time, the Democratic Party, just to say, okay, well, this is Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and not, hey, this is a Democratic Party as a whole. This is everybody that's a Democrat is now somehow touched by this.
And that is because when the things that happened that Hillary Clinton has been constantly getting criticized for occurred, the White House didn't get the blame for it necessarily, because it almost, at the time of the events, it was almost pinned on her. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't pinned on the Democrats at a whole. So there were trust issues with the individual opposed to with the party.
Yes, but by whom?
What do you mean
Republicans set this up to where it made it look like it was pinned on one person, when in actuality, this was a much bigger issue. To pin to pin this email leak on Hillary Clinton, it was crazy to me.
Right.
Yeah.
As if she was the one typing the emails herself. Right. I'm like, this didn't come from her server.
And which is why I said when it came out, it bothered me, because I still need to build up where I am. So I already know that there was some, like,
it was almost like a negative kind of, like, I get what you're saying, like,
it's
against
some kind of funny business here, and it's like they use this incident to stir up the fact that people already associated her with using a personal server and with other emails. So it's not that we aren't aware that she was not affiliated with this leak that just happened, or that it wasn't her, that she didn't type it. She probably didn't even know about it. She's trying to become president.
Right.
You know
what I mean?
Exactly.
Off on the campaign
so
she's
busy.
So
doing
we
her
get
thing.
that, but
right.
we also have to be realistic and see how it is affecting, like, we're shaped by media, we're shaped by music, we're shaped by culture. So when things like this happen, it affects the way that we think, it affects the way that we see, and I have to speak on it, and I have to be honest about it.
Right. Especially if she's the brand of, you know what I mean, in front of it. They're gonna, like you said, it's gonna be a guilty or association just for the simple fact, even if she didn't, type the emails.
Yeah, and I think that from an objective standpoint, people just have to, like, when this whole thing came back and I was just seeing everybody, talk about it, and every time that somebody would bring up the fact that one of the emails, mentioned Bernie Sanders' religion.
Yeah.
And I remember reading the email and I was like, oh, what's going on? I read it again and I talked to a couple people, and then I was like, they never asked about Bernie Sanders' religion. This guy asked about a legitimate concern that the Democratic Party would have if Bernie Sanders became the nominee for president. Southern Democrats are a huge chunk of the Democratic Party. Bernie lost the entire South, and his press secretary kind of went on a tweet storm this weekend about how the election wasn't rigged. It wasn't. Hillary won fair and square, and the fact that he just lost the South. I was reading an article, Sean King, the Daily News had an article today, or just his opinion article, and Sean King is not a fan of Hillary Clinton, but his article talked about how he was going to vote for Hillary Clinton, even though he's been kind of railing against her this entire election. But in it, he said Bernie still would have lost if because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that people kind of forget that. And yes, at the end of the day, a communications director would not be doing their job if they didn't ask the question like, hey, how does he feel about this? Because we need to get in front of this. Now that might not have been all of put in an email. Of course, perception is not reality, but perception is a huge portion of that. So if somebody read the email and went, why would they ask about religion without thinking of the whole context of what happens, that is a huge problem. And I think that's where people kind of got confused and it made me upset because I'm like, nobody is thinking about the other side. Like nobody is thinking about the reality of the situation, which is why somebody would ask about religion and how important religion is to Southern voters, especially Southern black voters.
I was going to say,
that is a huge thing. So hopefully, I mean, obviously this whole thing is about to blow over. I don't know. We'll see. Because Russia apparently might be the ones responsible for this leak. You know, some people can say, oh, well, the emails were still written. But at the end of the day, another country meddling in our election is a problem. Yeah. It is a huge problem for us. So, you know, then we move into the convention. Of course, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chair of the Democratic Convention, was implicated a little bit in this email scandal because of her opiniated emails, I'll say. Not that the DNC, and I always tell people, like, do you guys believe, just in this particular primary, that the Democratic National Committee rigged a primary in favor of Hillary Clinton?
Absolutely not. I don't believe so.
No.
Because I feel like I feel like the rhetoric that we've heard in the past 3 days is, and I said this on Facebook the other day. Right, I said this on Facebook the other day that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for all of her flaws, was a scapegoat to that. They needed to blame somebody for Bernie losing without realizing that Jeff Weaver and Tad Devine were terrible campaign managers and advisors, and they are the reason that Bernie lost. The fact that Bernie Sanders, the Sanders campaign, did not put money into minority outreach was a reason why they lost. Counting out the entire South is a reason why they lost.
I mean, there are many ways we can look at it, like opposed to why he didn't become the nominee, why he lost. There are many ways to look at it. I think when it comes to Debbie, in the whole email scandal and them blaming her and then them saying, oh, that the Democratic Party rigged the primary so that Hillary. It's like when I'm playing cards and I win and they be like, oh, you cheated. No, I didn't cheat. I just won.
Right.
Like, like, so that's how I looked at that situation. I think what then becomes a lot of our conversations about what's been about the primaries and about the election and just about everything that's happening has been about unity. Yep. So I think, if anything, it's very sad to see the people within the party just go tit for tat and try to destroy it.
And pick at something,
And at the end of the day, we have a greater cause to fight.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to fight that cause if we aren't together. I can't fight it by myself. I need help. And I think that we are almost afraid to say, okay, this is how I think. I may be better at leading this situation than you, but in as a whole, I'm not going to be greater. I need your help. Right. And that's become the problem. So now it's like this tit for tat going back and forth, even with the booing. And
that was so
I don't even
ridiculous.
know, like, so even
that was so ridiculous with the booing.
Right,
I'm like, come on, guys, really?
It was terrible. So with Debbie, she stepped down. Right. So then I'm like, okay, well, what conversations did you have behind closed doors?
Absolutely, there's always a negotiation.
Right. What conversations did you have behind closed doors before you got the new position?
She's honorary chair of the 50-state strategy for the Clinton campaign, which in actuality means very little because Eva Longoria is an honorary chair and she's not like running the show. Like, people legit thought that Debbie was Robbie Mook.
promoted to
campaign manager. I was like, she is not running the Clinton campaign.
Right.
She probably is going to run back to Florida, do her little thing because she's running. She has a tough fight in her district, and that's what she's going to be focused on. And people are like, why would they do that? I'm like, she's still a sitting United States Democratic Congresswoman who was former chairman, and President Obama has endorsed her. If you don't think that they want her to win her district after the president already endorsed her, and to give her an elevated position when she's like down, she's hurt, yeah, come on, people.
But that's
you
the
gotta
unity.
think
Come
about
on, that's
that.
the unity. They're sticking together because she is a Democrat.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's what it comes. I think though, part of the problem is when she stepped down and they had their private conversations. We talk about all the time being included, and I know there are certain things that we cannot be included on because of emergencies and just our safety for our country as a whole. But we needed to know why exactly do you feel the need? Like how did you feel pressured? You know what I mean? That's almost like, I don't know. You're constantly calling me a liar or a cheater, and deep down I know that I cheated. So I'm like, let me just run away from it before the conversation becomes more exposed. So that might not be the case. It may be something different, but we need to be included. Like, I feel like if our party was a little more inclusive to us as the people for little things, not the state of emergencies or anything like that, then we would have less conflict.
That's good. That's good that you mentioned that because the Democrats kicked off their convention yesterday, and I posted on Facebook. You know how much I love my Facebook. I posted on Facebook that just day one, it was the most inclusive Democratic. It was the most inclusive convention that we've seen in a very long time. Every minority was up there. People with disabilities were up there. Women, children, Black, LGBT, everybody was on that stage in night one out of 4 nights from last week. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, Peter Thiel from PayPal, gay man up on the stage. When for an hour of the program, it was specifically for it was just like things are very specific, and the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Convention is working very hard to make Hillary Clinton very likable, including a lot of personal stories throughout this whole thing. Did you guys get a chance to watch night one at all?
Yeah.
What was your favorite? I know we're going to talk about. We got four big speeches last. 4 big speeches.
Hold on. Okay.
So
you already know what Brittany's gonna say.
4 big speeches happened last night. Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Michelle Obama, Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Who was your favorite speaker from last night?
Okay, can I have a tie? Because I'm going to say, because y'all know I love Elizabeth, so I was hyped when she went on there, and you know how she starts getting going, but Michelle was just incredible. So it's a strong tie for me, because I was kind of...
Michelle and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Got it.
Definitely.
Oh, really? With all the darts that Elizabeth was throwing?
Oh,
you was for it,
you know I was for it.
Come on, Petty Boots. I think that my favorite, without a doubt, was Michelle Obama's. And this was the second time that any first lady has ever been at both conventions. Stop!
We're waiting on 2020. Republicans are write that down. Write that down.
We gotta use that. Next week.
No, she was my favorite because I feel like they're on their way out. So at this point, even though she is still being classy and just giving off this aura, she was real, and she wasn't scared to tell you the truth. Like, I live in a house that slaves built. Yes,
that was it.
And the reason that stuck out with me most is because I feel like with black people being a minority, a lot, and with all the things that happened these past few weeks, I think part of the problem is not addressing or confronting that slavery did exist. Yeah, that it was real. I think we try to sweep it under the rug because we feel like we moved so far past it. So for her to be real and to just, I know that she went up there to evoke emotion, and it was,
she did.
She did. But it was so real that you could it's conversations that you have with your friends, with your family. It's like,
it was.
What can you what can I say?
Right.
Like when she talked about her daughters, I think about my kids too. I ain't got none, but I'm thinking about them. You know what I mean?
I thought there was first of all, she did a home run of really, again, like I said, the really making the case for Hillary Clinton.
Definitely.
One of the things she said last night is our motto is when they go low, we go high.
Right.
Democrats don't really hit that hard out in the public. However, when they get in the Senate, Harry Reid's like a like a firecracker in there, and he'll put the hurt on them. But going back to what you guys said about the slavery, I just want to mention the quote that that Michelle Obama said. She said, the story of generations of people who felt the lash of bondage, the shame of servitude, the sting of segregation, who kept on striving and hoping and doing what needed to be done, so that today I wake up every morning in a house that was built by slaves, and I watch my daughters, two beautiful, intelligent black young women, play with the dog on the White House lawn.
That's an amen after that. You can't even say nothing after that. That's amen.
And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when she was talking,
I literally just got
every time that she talked about her daughters, she almost cried up there. And I remember texting my friends, and I said, if she cries, this is done.
That's done. That's
it. That's all we need to see. That's it. Hillary Clinton won the election.
That's why it was so real, because and that's one thing that the First Lady has always done really well. Right. She speaks from a place that's deep inside her every time. No matter what she's talking about, she makes it relatable. She makes it personable. So even if you felt very distant from Hillary Clinton at the time, after Michelle Obama was done with her speech, you felt like, oh dang, I need to give you a chance. Like, you know what I mean? Like she pulled that out of you, and it was almost like a hug. It was like a thank you, like some kind of comfort.
Right.
Like laying on mom's lap,
she was incredible.
And when you talk about the quote that she said a quote, when they go low, we go high. Right. We talk about day one being inclusive of all kind of minorities. That was it. That was it right there. Because if you look back on the 4 days of the RNC, it was a lot of bashing and a lot of yelling and a lot of hate being like that's low. No that's low. Right. Like, okay, this is not a petty battle. Like, that's not what we're gonna do. We need to talk about the issues. We need to really know why we should be voting for you. We shouldn't really just be
Democrats
in a boxing.
are definitely being the adults and talking
classy.
about. And if you really think about Hillary Clinton, it was. I mean,
it really was, because a lot of people were waiting to see what she was going to say about her speech being used from you, and she just was she didn't even. And I was just like, what? We were waiting. We were like, what's she going to say? She kept it really killing with kindness.
She's never done
absolutely.
Cory Booker was also excellent. He made the case hitting all the key policy points during that. It really was an Obama 04 speech in that. Elizabeth Warren was great, and then course Bernie Sanders making the case for Hillary Clinton by saying, by these measures, any objective observer will conclude that based on her ideals and her leadership, Hillary Clinton must become the next president of the United States. The choice is not even close.
Let me tell you what didn't make me too happy about when Bernie Sanders gave his speech. There was booing again. Yeah. And my problem with that became, you're booing him because he's telling you to vote for Hillary Clinton, but he's someone that you wanted as your leader. So if you can't even listen to him or follow his direction, what would have happened had he been the nominee and was going to be on the ballot? Because you're not like how much do you really care? Like you don't. I guess I'm trying to say you're not invested enough into Bernie Sanders if you're not willing to take his judgment and take where he's going. And a lot of people saying, it's just, it's fixed because he's a Democrat. They want the party to be unified. Well,
you weren't saying that 2 months ago.
Right. Yeah. But I also trust that if he really felt like she wasn't a good fit, he would do what some of the Republicans were doing, how they feel about Trump.
He would have pulled Ted Cruz.
Yeah, he would have just been like, nah. Like,
and what's so
vote
interesting.
Vote your conscience. That's what he would have said.
And what's so interesting that you said that is that, and not saying all Bernie supporters, but the ones that they did interview after, I don't know if y'all seen it, it was a black lady who they were interviewing, and she had no legitimate reason why she didn't want to vote for Hillary. And then she just kept, and I was waiting, I was watching, and she's like, because she was a Bernie supporter, and they were just like, well, what makes him different? And why don't you want to go for Hillary? And she's like, well, I don't. And she just kept rambling, and I'm like, what are you even saying right now?
The Sanders supporters, I mean, just like anybody, and to be fair, in the last election, it took the Hillary Clinton supporters a long time to warm up to Barack Obama. So I think the Bernie Sanders supporters just have to go through their 5 stages of grief. No, literally, legitimately,
no,
like 5 stages of grief.
I agree with you.
And then because today, the convention was completely, like, even once Michelle Obama, because I remember tweeting, try to boo Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, she was gonna shut it down.
That was not gonna happen. There was one guy in the front who was just loud. Like, I don't know if you guys heard him, but like there's one guy in the audience. Even when Elizabeth Warren was talking, he was just loud. I was like, listen, fool, you're doing the most right now. Wait till Michelle Obama comes over there. That's not gonna happen. Bet you be quiet then, right? And he was. And but today it was almost, once Bernie kind of did his delegate round this morning, he went to all the delegations this morning from all the states, most of the states today. Talked to the California delegation today by saying, it's easy to boo, but it's harder to look your kids in the face if we're living in a Trump presidency. And I think that made today all the more better,
more calm, understanding,
better for everybody, to the point where, today was the roll call vote at the convention. Hillary Clinton was actually put over the top by South Dakota. So we didn't know all day if Bernie Sanders was going to stop the nomination in the middle, or pull Vermont to the center like New York, like Hillary Clinton did for Barack Obama, stop the roll call and keep going. But it didn't make sense to me that Bernie Sanders would stop the roll call because his whole campaign has been about including everybody and making their voice heard, which I thought was great. I mean, it was just a really great idea to say, you know what, you worked hard for me, now is your time, we know where you need to go. And that to me was a really great moment for the Sanders campaign and probably for the Sanders supporters.
And it showed teamwork. It showed he's being a good team player. And I think, like we said, and we've said this numerous times before, is that when I forgot who that came over, but we said, you know what, he's going to bow down graciously after running and giving a good fight, and he's going to be able to be a good person
at the end of the fight.
Exactly.
But he was going to fight.
Yeah, he was going to fight though.
Your brother Joseph was actually, or was it Joseph? Joseph's your dad.
No,
Joseph's
my
your brother,
husband.
your husband. Joseph, sorry. Not today, Jesus. Joseph was saying, Bernie followers say trust Bernie, but can't trust his recommendations, contradictory just like Bernie. Now, look, I just gave Bernie a whole glowing recommendation. You cannot make me go back to that, Joseph. Do not pull me back that way. I am sticking to the script and saying congratulations to Bernie Sanders, and of course thank you to Bernie Sanders for this entire campaign, which I thought was a really great campaign for supporters and for people who have never understood the process. Even up till today, I was explaining to people questions that they would have never asked me before.
Yeah.
Like, why is he throwing his name into the nomination? Well, this is something that happens all the time.
Right.
This is not anything new. This is not news. This is something that happens. And if you get a delegate, you are automatically put into the nomination call. So it's not... So I thought it was great. And then South Dakota, like I said, put Hillary Clinton over the top with 2,380 votes. And then by the end of it, she had 2,395 votes. And Vermont actually kind of ended the roll call, and Bernie came out and voted by acclamation like she did for Barack Obama to nominate her for President of the United States. So I'm just going to end it with this. As women, and I know we don't like to talk about Hillary Clinton as she is a woman president. Do you?
Who doesn't talk about that?
No, but I mean, like, some people were like, well, why does it matter if she's a woman? We didn't say that about Barack Obama when he made history. How do you guys feel now that you've now lived through a black president as women? How does that make you feel, regardless of if you like Hillary Clinton or not? How does it make you feel to see a female head of person who's about to be the next head of state of the United States? Britain's had two. Yeah. But we, as the superpower of the world, is about to have, in the next 100 days, have elected the first female president of the United States.
I'm a little scared.
Scared for Hillary? Not about Hillary, or scared for Hillary?
Scared for myself as a woman. Let me tell you why. I am super excited that a woman is going to be president.
Oh, yes.
Or will be president, or possibly. We don't know. But I'm afraid because when Barack Obama became the first black president, there was a lot of excitement. It was history. And then after that, within his terms, we saw a peak in exposure of crimes against African Americans. So women have been fighting for equality
since
forever.
Still is.
Whether it comes to equal pay, whether it comes to respect, where it's just because I'm a female, don't allow it to belittle my knowledge or anything like that. So I'm scared about what people who aren't really excited about a woman being president, or how that's gonna. I feel like people try to throw stuff back in your face. It's like, okay, you got a woman president. Well, let me show you how women ain't nothing. Oh, okay, you got a black president. But let me show you how blacks ain't nothing. So so that's what makes me scared. Not that it's gonna happen. I hope that it doesn't happen, but it's a possibility that it will.
And you really did take the words out of my mouth, because I was gonna say it really did become the narrative for Obama. Yes, we're very excited that he was the first black president, but it became where we focused on certain things that didn't matter, like Obama's meeting with a group of black pastors. We're like, well, why does it have to? You know what I mean? Why can't you be pastors? And we don't want it to be that way. way with Hillary. And I think for any advice I want to give to Hillary is just really have a tough skin, because that is going to really change the narrative to where it's going to be a lot about, bashing women, or even it may be hopefully it's going to be a positive outlook for women in that they will make a change. But I would say just prepare herself for what's
history.
to come. Oh, absolutely.
Let me tell you what.
Absolutely.
There were two incredible moments today during the roll call. I don't know if you guys watched it. I watched it from start to finish today. First, there was a woman from Arizona, I believe. She was like 105 or something like that. She said she was born in 1920. She said she waited till this moment to cast her delegate vote for a female president. And then Bernie Sanders' brother with Democrats Abroad honored Bernie and his parents by casting his vote with Democrats Abroad for Bernie Sanders. And it was, it was something else. I literally sitting at my desk, and people were like, I was laughing out loud because, they go through the roll call and they always talk about all the states and stuff like that. And then I remember almost tearing up at my desk because I was like, this is a moment that we had as Black people years ago. And now women have this opportunity. They see this, girls will grow up in this idea that they can do that. And I just thought it was, this 105-year-old woman this is what she's been waiting for. Yeah. And I just thought it was
And those are the moments that we live for, especially I can remember, when I was in college, and it was an older woman who she fought for a long time back in the day to fight for her rights to vote. And she was saying she was excited. She got out of her bed to walk to go to the voting booth for Obama. So those moments like that are just like, wow. Those are the historic moments that we live for.
For me, let me tell you why it's great, because I'm a double minority. And now, after November, for my double minority, though, it will be broken. We would have had a Black president, which is one of my minorities, and then a female president, which is another one of my minorities.
Now we just need both. Kamala Harris, we are looking at you here in California. And of course the message that I want to send. Of course, I'm wearing my "I'm with Her" shirt today. I know you guys can't really see it. In honor of that, and of course on Thursday I'll be just decked out in some blue. But the message really is Donald Trump is dangerous.
Oh yes,
Republican policies are dangerous.
Come on, message.
And we have got to get out to vote. Whether or not you like Hillary Clinton or not, that her policies are going to be something that, there's a reason why 18 million people voted for her twice. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why her Senate colleagues endorsed her twice. Yeah. There's a reason why President Obama, who, for all his worth, gave a strong endorsement. Bernie Sanders, all these people, because she can do the job and she will be able to take care of children, families, minorities. The mothers of the movement were out this today, right before we came on the show. Trayvon Martin's mother, Eric Garner's mother, Sandra Bland's mother, of course.
They are speaking tonight.
They just spoke. They spoke maybe an hour ago, right before. Sandra Bland's mother said, one day, a year ago yesterday, she put Sandra Bland in the ground, and this is a moment for her. These are people talking about a person that people have been trying to trash for the last 25 years, and there is a reason why these people are up there on the stage. And I think people have to remember that, and remember that on November 8th, that you've got to go out to the ballot box and you've got to pull that lever for Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. Which brings us to a bigger issue.
Yes.
Of voter ID registration. I know you've got a lot to talk about on that, Elayna.
We know that we're in the hiring process as a country. We are hiring a new president. And a lot of times people think it's just about voting and making it to the polls and coming back. Well, that's a lot harder for certain people. So before we move to that, dates I want you to remember outside of the Democratic Convention that will come to an end this week, on September 26th, debates will start. So there are going to be lots of debates happening starting September 26th, and then following November 8th will be Election Day. So if you aren't registered to vote, you can go to rocktovote.com to become registered. And for people who are California residents, make sure that you are registered by October 24th. So what comes with going to vote and having all that you need is having your ID. And people are like, okay, well, why is that a controversy? We've seen time and time again, especially when it was coming for Barack Obama's second term, where afterwards people were saying, oh, they didn't let me vote, or they didn't check my ID, or they were stopping us, especially with the primaries that just passed. There were a lot of complaints and there was a lot of opinions about it. So I wanted to bring you this information now while we're still months ahead, so that people have time to digest it and to swallow it.
And register to vote.
Register to vote with the proper ID. So some states are a little more strict with their laws than others, and I'll get to that I'll get to that in a moment. But the reason that it's so controversial is because some states need you to have a photo ID. A photo ID like a driver's license or a passport. That is difficult to have for some people who may be a minority or maybe low income, meaning that you have to have money to pay for this ID and then have to be able to pay to get to the polls. Yeah. So if you have
and to get the ID
and to get the ID. Yeah. So if you are low income, that's possibly a no-go. And another one of the reasons is because if you are one of, like, say you are a child of an immigrant or you were born here, so you might not have the proper identification or etc., that's going to stop you from voting. And once that happens, once they use your IDs and your backgrounds and your ethnicities where you come from to stop you from voting, that kind of closes the gap on the people who are able to vote for the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee, and that's where the controversy comes in. So the GOP thinks that the strict voter laws are needed for fraud, that people are going to go use someone else's ID to vote. I don't know why that.
Yeah,
it's voter suppression. That's what it is. They just want to suppress the vote. It's not even a statistical. It's not even statistically true.
Yeah, right.
It's like less than 1% of voter fraud happening.
Exactly. I'm like, what?
Just as much, just less than, equal to welfare fraud.
Yeah.
People talk about welfare fraud all the time. That's like 1% of everybody that's on welfare.
Yeah, and then obviously the Democrats feel like it's basically just to keep minorities out, to keep minorities from voting, and it's some kind of racial discrimination. So when the voters' laws passed in the 60s, they wanted peace and they wanted equality when it comes to voting. So I want you to make sure that you have the proper ID, and we're going to go through the states, so make sure that you check your states. There are 8 states that are super strict on these laws. Those states are Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Indiana, Virginia, Wisconsin, Mississippi, and I'm missing one.
Indiana.
The
state from Mike Pence, the current vice presidential nominee on the Republican side.
Republican side is one of the strictest states with voter registration law. So make sure that if you live in one of those states and you're watching, that you have the proper identification, that you register to vote now. You don't wait till the last minute, so that if there is any complications or confusion, you can get that hashed out now and you will be able to exercise your right to vote. And I also want to just encourage our viewers and myself too, like, just don't feel discouraged in a sense. Make sure that you exercise your right to vote. Right. And even if you have personal feelings, we're not gonna have the perfect candidate ever. We're not always gonna agree 100% with everything that they say, everything that they do, or everything that they have done. But we're trying to progress forward. So when you're out voting, make sure that you do your research. Make sure that you have the proper ID, because in the recent years, voting has been low.
Declined.
It has been very low. So we're trying to bring those numbers back out, and we're trying not to feel so meh about politics anymore. Right. You know, we're trying to bring it back into the conversation. So
that's why we're here.
Yes,
that's exactly why we're here.
One of the things I know you brought up Virginia, and I know I said Mike Pence is from Indiana or whatever, so I got to be fair and say that Tim Kaine is from Virginia. However, Democratic governors like Tim Kaine and Terry McAuliffe have done their part in making sure that voters are represented and that they can vote. I mean, Terry McAuliffe this weekend, you know, I think we talked about it when we first started. This is our 14th episode. We talked about it, where Terry McAuliffe signed an executive order giving felons back their voting rights. So then over the weekend, the Virginia Supreme Court, the conservative court, tried to overturn that. And then Terry McAuliffe this weekend signed 200,000 individual letters giving felons their right to vote back. Wow. So that is where Democrats stand. And I know Joseph, I brought him again. He said Democrats want to unify, Republicans want to divide, and that is where Republican policies are dangerous. That's true. It is this idea that if you do something wrong, that you cannot be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
And that is a problem.
Yeah.
That is where Democrats are different on. In terms of legalizing marijuana, that is where Republicans are always wrong when it comes to criminal justice. Donald Trump talks about being a law and order candidate. Well, what does that mean? This is not judge. This is not
SVU,
right? Marishka's gonna pop out of somewhere. And
I'm like SVU. Wait
come on now, Donald.
Okay, Donald.
But people. That was great. Thank you.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
So
People talk about it being very Nixonian, this law and order idea. First of all, there is nothing about Donald Trump that says to me if I was looking objectively, like, Mitt Romney maybe, John McCain absolutely, that says to me that Donald Trump has a handle on anything, first of all, and certainly not a handle on law and order in the country.
Yeah. Not at all.
He could barely keep his conventions together where he's out there talking to people about, well, you can take care of them and blah, 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 or I'll pay your legal fees and blah, blah, blah. What about that is law and order?
And that's my thing. So my skin is really tough. I don't consider myself to be sensitive in certain areas. But my thing with Donald Trump and his party is that they have been very aggressive. They have literally been drawing a line. Mm-hmm. They've literally been building a wall, whether it's physically or mentally. Yeah. They've literally have been trying to divide us. And that's where it's just like, nah, like.
And they said that about his speech. They were like, this speech was not for minorities. It was not for, literally, I was going down my feed.
Was not for minorities.
It was just like, this was not for, and so Trump is just.
Yeah. Really quick, other states that have been challenged on their laws when it comes to voters registration is North Carolina, Arizona, and Alabama. So if you're in any of those states too, make sure that you have the proper identification when it comes to voting. And
then make sure you vote so that you can vote those jokers out so that you don't have to worry about that in the midterms. And that's another thing that I really want to stress to everybody. We are talking about this election a lot, which is great. We want to make sure that the next president of the United States, follows Barack Obama. That the next president is somebody that's worthy of kind of following this president who really has done quite a bit in the last 7 years. But at the same time, we also want to set ourselves up for the 2018 midterms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the 2020 elections, and then the 2024 midterms. Midterm elections are the most important. They are probably more important than the presidential election because the House and the Senate can change hands. Mm-hmm. So I think people have to realize that. Like we are talking, we talk a lot about Bernie Sanders' movement. I want that movement to progress into the 2018 midterms. Mm-hmm. I want that same energy from the Bernie Sanders supporters that they had this year, regardless of, like you said, you don't want to feel discouraged, but you want to feel inspired to move.
For the future.
So hopefully Bernie Sanders supporters and Hillary Clinton supporters and, like I said, we talked about Mothers of the Movement tonight. I mean, Mothers of the Movement tonight you guys got to go back and watch it.
Heartstrings being pulled.
Incredible. I mean, just seeing those mothers up there talking about their kids. Trayvon Martin's mother got up there and she said, if he was still here, I would not be up here. Mm-hmm. I'm not that person to kind of join groups and different things like that. And I feel like I have to come together. And they did this whole video montage that talks about how it was Hillary Clinton's idea for them to band together when she did a private meeting with them.
Come on, you throwing the private meeting in
because some folks gotta know. Some folks gotta know what actually happened.
That the meeting still happened.
That the meetings happened.
And who was behind it?
And Hillary Clinton was behind it. You know what I mean? It's like Hillary Clinton went to Pulse Orlando Club last week without telling anybody, just showed up. It was probably planned. However, she showed up, and that is the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats show up. They might disappoint you because they gotta work together. They gotta govern from the center because they gotta get people on board. I had a friend today tell me, well, I don't feel like people should. I was talking about building relationships and how Hillary Clinton really won this election. She won it with coalitions. She won it with relationships. And I said, he was like, well, why should you govern like that? I said, because you've got to get people on your side. Mm-hmm. You've got to get people behind you. And that's what Hillary Clinton did. That's what she did with the Mothers of the Movement. That's what she's doing with Latino Americans. That's what she's doing with the LGBT Americans. That's what she's done with the Black Americans forever. Yeah. And that's why she's been so successful. So I am very excited about Thursday night. So make sure you guys are watching everything that happens at the convention. Tonight was Lifetime Fighting for Children and Families at the convention. Tomorrow is Leadership You Can Count On. And then Thursday, the Democrats will wrap up with Hillary Clinton accepting the nomination with their theme of Stronger Together. But all that aside, there are a lot of other things happening out in the world. Lay it on us.
All right, guys. So, last week you had a little sad stuff going on for our trending topic. So this week it's
the convention was last week. That's why it was sad.
With the Republican convention was so sad. But to start off, Michael Jordan, he finally broke his silence about policing, which I'm not going to lie, I was actually really, really excited about this because a lot of the minorities have really spent, money on top of money buying these Michael Jordan shoes and have lost their lives waiting in line. I mean, longer than voting. You know, people really wait in line for these shoes. And so
I never owned a pair of Jordans.
Me either. But, you know, okay. Well,
she's like, I'm actually wearing them right now.
I'm right now too. So, you know, he finally came out. I just want to say his quote. He said, in a recent interview, he said, I know this country is better than that, and I can no longer stay silent. We need to find solutions to ensure people of color receive fair and equal treatment, and that police officers who put their lives on the line every day to protect us all are respected and supported. And so I was like, you know what, Michael, and I could be, because, you know, I know a lot of African Americans are going through the not buying certain things, trying to make a stance. It could have reflected that. He could have seen it and was like, wait a minute, I gotta hurry up and say something. But no, it was really a good move for him. And
outside of all the controversy that has been surrounding him, because people have been begging him to speak up.
Oh my gosh, for years.
Like, he's a billionaire, and he's
but
never
same thing with like Oprah.
Yeah.
Where is Oprah?
And they haven't used their platform
whatsoever
to speak. So I was just really proud that. So first of all, we don't know what kind of private conversations he's been having over the years. Like, just because he wasn't using his platform doesn't mean that he wasn't speaking about it and doing things about it. However, that to the side, I was I was excited that he finally used his platform, and then he even donated
it was $2
million, $1 million to the NAACP and another $1 million to the Police Association. And I thought that was great, because he's showing I felt like he needed to take a stand to show both sides that you need to come together.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I was really happy that
really
he's a big influence.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
he's a big influence. So he is reaching those kids who aren't really into the issues but kind of follow the trends.
Yeah, but then my question is he as influential as, say, LeBron James or Steph Curry? Where are they?
They spoke up.
I'm saying, like, you know, this is like Michael Jordan is like, you know, our time, like nostalgic, our time, all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it. And we saw Jesse Williams a couple of weeks ago at the BHL.
So you're talking about the basketball person of this time.
I'm talking about this time. Okay. This is who this generation is looking to. Not necessarily Michael Jordan. That's like saying that, you know, we were looking to Bill Cosby. If controversy aside, we would be looking at Bill Cosby.
Instead,
and you're like,
right,
you know, instead of Jesse Williams, you know.
So not because he was a basketball player, not because he's a retired NBA player, but because he's a businessman who has profitable shoes.
Yeah.
Like, so they want the Jordans.
They do, and they will wait line for hours.
They won't
for
wear
that.
them. They will walk barefoot so that they won't get creases or dirt, like, so they won't get them dirty. Like, it's that insane. Like, you're standing in line, you're losing your life for standing in lines for some shoes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if he has that much of an impact with his shoes that you need to camp out,
he has
an influence, you know, where it comes to not in sports, but more so just with
absolutely.
trends.
And so what also was pretty upsetting, I guess, with the WNBA and the NBA this week has been really crazy. The WNBA teams, it was Indiana, New York, and Phoenix. They were all fined. They had some games last week, and they were wearing the Black Lives Matter T-shirt. And they also was saying on there just, you know, that they were pro-police officers as well. And so, you know, the company had an issue with that, and they ended up fining $5,000 per team and then $500 per player. And so that equaled up to $33,000 just for them wearing some shirts that, you know, that they obviously believed in. And so a lot of fans started, you know, saying that they were dead wrong for doing that. And so they ended up coming back actually yesterday and dropped all the fines for the WNBA team. So I thought that was really...
What made sense with that, though, is the WNBA players also posted pictures with shirts on when the Pulse nightclub shooting happened. They had Pray for Orlando shirts. They had, like... They wear breast cancer. Like, anytime there's some kind of tragedy or epidemic,
they always wear it.
They're supporting. So I was very disturbed to see that they were fined for supporting this movement, and it was just like, why? Is it because it's this movement?
Exactly. You know
what I mean?
So and they knew they didn't want to take that heat, so they came back real quick and fixed that and dropped all that. So.
And you mentioned the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was just saying as far as Michael Jordan and the NBA.
Oh well. Also the NBA pulled out of North Carolina. They pulled the All-Star game out of North Carolina last week. So I thought you were going. I thought you were going there.
No.
The NBA pulled the commissioner pulled the All-Star game out of North Carolina.
They're moving it to New Orleans.
I thought it was.
I might be wrong.
New Orleans, yeah.
I might be wrong.
I don't know, but I thought it was a really gutsy move by the commissioner, and sucks for North Carolina because Charlotte, you know. I got some family from Charlotte, and I know Charlotte's a huge city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's like $2 to $4 billion or something like that in
That they
revenue
could've, yeah.
that they could have that would have been pumped back into the city of Charlotte. So
So I know they're like, well, yeah.
it's
so that was a
unfortunate. So
total loss,
hopefully,
yeah.
like we said, on those voter ID laws, hopefully North Carolinians will go out to vote and do something about Roy Cooper is your person,
who's
is your
positioning
guy.
their state. Yeah.
Kick out Pat McCrory and put in Roy Cooper for governor. So
Yeah. And then lastly, guys, I was pretty excited about this. I
I'm so
almost
excited
teared
for
up.
this.
The Barack and Michelle movie. Now, John Legend produced this film. It's going to be called South Side with You. It stars Tinka Sumter, who we know in Half and Have Nots, Dreamgirls. And then we have a newcomer. His name is Parker Sawyer. He's going to be playing Mr. Obama. So it hits August 26th in theaters. And it's going to be talking about just their first date and how they fell in love and just
I
the
saw
impact.
the trailer.
Yes,
the love story is beautiful.
It really is.
We
And
love them.
I know.
Don't we love his supportive tweet after his wife?
oh my God,
I
it was so
did.
good.
It was so beautiful.
It was good.
Come
I
on,
did.
Lord.
So-
Send me my husband.
It was so much better than Donald Trump's tweet after. No, really. If you go back and look at Donald Trump's timeline,
true.
it was not a very. It was like, oh my God, Melania did great, but like Barack's, like you felt it.
You did.
You
I
just felt
retweeted
it.
it just because I was just like,
It was so good.
It was powerful. So for all the people that are going to be missing them when they leave, you can always have them on film and watch it over and over again.
I think January 20th. I said to people, like, if you watch the roll call today, it will be not only be a very sad day to see the Obamas go, but it will be a very historic day to see another historic situation
happen right back to back.
and so it's gonna be very exciting. So is
Yes.
that
Those are all the trends going on around the world right now.
We got a lot going on. I'm doing another show right after this, so if you guys are tuning in, I'm on Trump versus Hillary on AfterBuzz TV. And then Sunday, hopefully you guys are going to be there as well. I'm going to be at the Living Room in Van Nuys moderating a panel.
July 31st.
July 31st, more than a hashtag. Danielle Truitt, who's going to be in a new show. She's an actress. She's done a lot. She's going to be there. She's actually hosting this thing. It's her event, but I'm just moderating the panel. It's got John Singleton, director, who's actually got a brand new show that's coming to TNT or something like that. Jason Stewart, and then the guy who played Bubba Gump on Forrest Gump will also be there on Sunday. So if you're interested, I will be tweeting that out later. So because I will be moderating that debate about Black Lives, because we are always continuing that conversation. until
Yes,
something
and
is
also
done.
Lindsay. I don't know if y'all got to see her. She was
I
there.
She
I was
is
so
a
excited
delegate.
to see her.
Lindsay
Posting her
Horvath.
pictures
Yep.
at the
She was there holding her
convention.
sign
She's
up.
been great. So you guys can obviously follow Lindsay Horvath at Lindsay Horvath. So giving a little shout out to that. Yes, she's been very excited about that. But I'll tweet that out. And next week I think we have another. What's her name coming back next week?
We have Denise.
Yes,
Denise.
Denise
Yes.
is going to come back talking about her secret project.
She's whatever secret project we'll find out on Monday. Denise will be back Tuesday
yes.
to talk a little bit about that. But as always, thank you guys for watching today's episode. You can follow the show at
BHL Polyculture.
And you can follow me at Drexel Heard on Twitter.
You can follow me at Hey It's Lay.
And you can follow me at Sorrells.
And we will see all of you guys next week. See you later.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Keven Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.